Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi to our dearest lecturer Dr. Marina and fellow students. I am Wanwina Ishra binti Wan Muhammad Nasir with matrix number AS15140. Today, I will be presenting about the difference of gymnosperms, which are phylum Gnetophyta, phylum Cycadophyta, and phylum Ginkgophyta. So let's start with phylum Cycadophyta. For its habitats and appearance, phylum Cycadophyta consists of tropical and subtropical plants. These plants are characterized by their stout, trunk-like stems, which may reach considerable height. They have compound leaves, which resemble those of ferns or palms. It also has dioecious reproduction. Cycads exhibit dioecious reproduction, meaning that individual plants are either male or female. Female plants produce seed cones, which are often larger and resemble pine cones, while for male plants, it produces pollen cones, which are smaller and produce pollen grains. Next is motile sperm cells. One of the distinctive features of cycads are the presence of motile sperm cells. Each sperm cell is equipped with numerous hair-like flagella, which allows them to swim in a liquid medium. Next, for pollination, cycads rely on various methods of pollination, including wind and insects. Pollen grains that are produced by the male cones are carried away by the wind, or in some cases, insects, to reach the female cones. Insects, particularly beetles, play a significant role in the pollination of some cycad species. Lastly, for the pollen tube formation and fertilization. For pollen tube formation and fertilization, upon reaching the female cone, the pollen grains land on the ovule, which contains the egg cell. The pollen grains then germinate, forming pollen tubes. These pollen tubes grow through the tissues of the female cone, eventually reaching the egg. Inside the pollen tubes, flagellated sperm cells are released. These sperm cells swim through the pollen tube to reach the egg, where fertilization occurs. Now, let's move on to phylum Ginkgophyta. Phylum Ginkgophyta is unique among the gymnosperms because it is represented by a single living species called Ginkgo biloba. This species is commonly referred to as the maidenhair tree. So why it is often called as maidenhair tree? This is due to the resemblance of its fan-shaped leaves to the delicate foliage of maidenhair ferns. Just like phylum Cycadophyta, phylum Ginkgophyta also has dioecious reproduction, which means that individual plants are either male or female. For female trees, it produces ovules, which are contained within a fleshy plum-like structure called a strobilus, while for male trees, it produces pollen cones that release pollen grains. Unlike many deciduous trees, ginkgo leaves fall rapidly and almost simultaneously, carpeting the ground. And lastly, we have phylum Gnetophyta. So for phylum Gnetophyta, it has diverse forms. It can grow in the form of shrubs, trees, or vines. So for phylum Gnetophyta, it has three genera, which is Gnetum, Ephedra, and Welwitschia. So let's learn about the distinctive characteristics of genera. Each of the three genera has unique characteristics. The first one is Gnetum. This genus includes tropical trees and vines with broad evergreen leaves. Some species are used for their edible seeds and leaves. Second is Ephedra. Ephedra species are typically small, shrub-like plants with jointed stems and reduced leaves. Some contain alkaloids with medicinal properties. And the last one is Welwitschia. Welwitschia is a unique and bizarre plant found in an arid regions of southwestern Africa. It consists of only two long-leaf leaves and has a distinctive appearance. So the last one is, despite being a gymnosperm, phylum Gnetophyta also share the same characteristics as angiosperms. So some shared characteristics are including reticulate venation, xylem composition, double fertilization, and flower-like structure. So let's get through this. So the first one is reticulate venation. The leaves of gnetophytes often have reticulate venation, a pattern of veins that resembles the veins seen in the leaves of dicot angiosperms broadleaf flowering plants. The next one is xylem composition. The xylem, which is part of the vascular system responsible for water transport, possesses both tracheids and vessel elements, a feature more commonly associated with angiosperms. Next one is flower-like structures. The reproductive structures of gnetophytes often appear as clusters of cones that have a flower-like resemblance. This is in contrast to the more typical cones found in most gymnosperms. And the last one is double fertilization. One of the most intriguing features of gnetophytes is their form of double fertilization, which is typically associated with angiosperms. In this process, two egg cells are produced by the female reproductive structures. One of the egg cells is fertilized to become the embryo, which develops into a new plant. The egg cell, however, does not complete its development into an embryo and does not provide nutrition to the developing embryo.